Mushrooms got you trippin' in the kitchen? Well, fear the mighty fungi no more. Here's a peek behind the curtain so that you too can cook up a delicious mushroom dish just like the pros. Generally, restaurants tend to use the freshest produce, which is extra crucial when it comes to mushrooms. Experts say to make sure mushrooms are firm to the touch, and chefs specifically look for mushrooms that are dry. Sliminess is a sign they're past their prime. Since mushrooms have a short shelf life, prioritizing freshness is key to enjoying the full range of flavors and textures they have to offer. The farmer's market is a great place to buy fresh mushrooms, especially lion's mane, maitake, oyster, and other varieties that grocery stores might not stock. Amanda Janney, mushroom farmer and founder of KM Mushrooms, explains, a great perk of the farmer's market is selection, and you can directly ask the farmer when the mushrooms were harvested. Locally grown mushrooms are very likely organically produced. Outside of farmers markets, specialty grocery stores or local produce markets are your best bet. Store mushrooms in the fridge and use them within several days. Many home chefs are likely missing out on the incredible diversity that exists with mushrooms. Jenny explains, I think this can be attributed to the fact that, in general, Americans are rather mycophobic. Luckily, specialty mushrooms offer a more flavorful and better texture than common Agaricus bisporus mushrooms. Most grocery stores only carry white button, cremini, and portobello mushrooms, which are actually the same mushroom, the Agaricus bisporus we just mentioned, at different stages of its life.
Mushrooms! Everybody loves mushrooms, right?
So anyone who dislikes mushrooms may simply not be a fan of Agaricus bisporus, but mushrooms vary wildly in taste and texture across species. James Beard Award-winning chef Galen Zamora favors morels, a type of wild mushroom that doesn't grow on farms. I love stuffing them and roasting them whole. Having said that, they are harder to get and more expensive. Other options you might be able to find are piapino and chestnut mushrooms, which have deliciously nutty flavors, making them well-suited to soups and stews. Shiitake are known for their bold umami flavor, while oysters have a delicate taste and texture that goes particularly well with seafood. With so much variety, restaurant chefs are able to create a huge range of tastes and textures. Chances are you've been cleaning your mushrooms incorrectly. First of all, you almost never want to straight up wash them in water. Zamara explains, they will absorb too much water, and then no matter what, just steam and be soggy and water down in flavor. Instead, use a soft bristled brush or even a knife to gently scrape off any lingering specks of dirt.
It's with a soft brush. Don't use water. Never use water with mushrooms.
Vincenzo Della Poya, executive chef and cooking school instructor at Pritikin Longevity Center, also recommends brushing, saying, it's like mushroom meditation. Just simply take your time and clean with a gentle brush or damp cloth. Make sure they are dry before you trim the stems and chop as needed. When it's time to prep mushrooms, Janny first cuts off any hard or rough bits, adding, I normally hand tear mushrooms for recipes that call for larger pieces of mushrooms as it gives a great texture. Other recipes are better suited for rough chopping or dicing. I also love to slice lengthwise and marinate mushrooms before roasting or grilling. If you find yourself with a bunch of mushroom stems and base trimmings, Janny suggests saving them to make a broth. You can use it as the base for soups or other dishes, or just enjoy it as a savory drink.
We gotta cook this! Now exactly how we cook this is the real question. Ooh.
Using a pan is definitely one of the quickest and easiest ways to cook mushrooms. However, mushrooms contain a lot of moisture, meaning that they need enough space for the water to escape while cooking. Otherwise, they'll end up steaming. That's why seasoned chefs know that overcrowding mushrooms in a pan is one of the worst mistakes you can make. As Della Poya puts it, they need room to breathe. It's not a mushroom mosh pit. To avoid overcrowding, make sure to sauté mushrooms in a large pan or skillet. If you don't have a large enough one on hand, cook them in batches. Janny's tried and true method for a basic sauté involves starting with a dry pan. After the mushrooms sweat on medium-high heat for 5 to 10 minutes, add in your butter or oil, herbs, and spices. Cover the pan and let everything cook for 10 or so minutes. Then, stir and cook them for another few minutes uncovered. As Janny says, this will crisp the underside while leaving the top softer and chewier. Restaurants aren't afraid of using high heat on their mushrooms. Like with overcrowding the pan, mushrooms cooked at low temperatures will steam instead of sear, missing out on all that delicious browning. According to Zamara, this not only affects the flavor, but ends in soggy textures. He recommends using enough heat so that any water that seeps from the mushrooms quickly evaporates. If there's a ton of liquid in the pan when the mushrooms are cooking, the heat is too low. Della Poya seconds using high heat. High heat caramelizes the natural sugars in the mushrooms, resulting in a rich depth of flavor and crispy texture. But before caramelization can occur, the water from the mushrooms needs to evaporate, which only high heat can accomplish. Only then will the mushrooms begin to develop that golden brown color. The same goes for other methods of cooking mushrooms. Roasting, air frying, and grilling also require high enough heat. It's no secret that restaurant food is often cooked with a lot of fat or oil. While perhaps not the healthiest, it certainly makes for delicious food. Mushrooms are no exception. When it comes to sautéing them, Zamora likes to incorporate butter or olive oil. He says, "Mushrooms are like sponges and absorb the fat easily, so use a tasty fat. Butter helps develop flavors when they brown." Helene Henderson, chef and founder of Malibu Farm, says her go-to dish involves sautéing mushrooms in oil, using shiitake or chanterelle mushrooms for their meaty texture. Henderson says, heat up a large skillet, add a little oil, and cook in a single layer or in batches for a few minutes until all sides get a bit of color. Season with salt, pepper, and finely minced garlic. She then tosses the mushrooms with either farro or couscous, fresh herbs, and a lemon vinaigrette or soy-based marinade. It's a combo that's guaranteed to have everyone saying,
"These are fantastic mushrooms."
One of De La Poya's favorite ways to make flavorful mushrooms is to add a splash of wine for that fungi finesse. Wine, either white or red, brings a touch of acidity, helping round out the flavors in a dish. Restaurants often use wine or vinegar for this reason, taking sautéed mushrooms to the next level in flavor complexity and depth. Deglazing is another technique that can elevate mushrooms. It's one of Zamora's top tips for sautéing or pan-frying mushrooms. Deglazing is a technique that involves using a liquid to lift the browned food bits from a pan used for searing vegetables or meat. Zamora suggests deglaze with wine or vinegar, but be careful not to overdo it unless you want a stew. To deglaze mushrooms, first sauté them in a pan according to how you like them. At the end of the cooking process, add in a splash of wine or vinegar. You can also use stock, water, spirits, or even cream, depending on your desired flavor profile. With the heat still on, gently scrape the bottom of the pan with a spatula. This releases the food bits stuck to the pan, adding that flavor back to the mushrooms. You can evaporate the liquid completely or leave some as a tasty sauce, depending on the dish. Grilling brings out the best in many meats and veggies, so it's no wonder that chefs love grilling mushrooms too. Zamora recommends that home chefs try throwing maitake or any other large mushroom heads on the grill whole.
Ron?
What in the devil's name is this?
Portobello mushrooms.
Jani opts to slice and marinate mushrooms before throwing them on the grill, saying, give them a quick marinade in a simple olive oil, vinegar, garlic, and Worcestershire before grilling, and finish with a glaze or barbecue sauce. I love grilling meaty mushrooms like lion's mane, king trumpet, or black pearl. With a little technique, any mushroom can work on the grill. While larger pieces can go directly on the grates, smaller mushrooms are better off in a grill-safe basket or wrapped in foil. You can also stick them on skewers. Try it the next time you fire up the grill on a summer evening. Given the rich and savory nature of mushrooms, chefs use them any chance they get. One way they incorporate them into meals is by using dried mushrooms, which can add a tremendous amount of flavor, according to De La Poya. Dried mushrooms can be rehydrated and cooked like fresh mushrooms, but they can also be ground into a powder. De La Poya uses mushroom powder as a seasoning, saying shiitake powder, granulated onion, granulated garlic, and a dash of white pepper makes for a very intense, flavorful spice blend. Cooking with mushroom powder is a great way to add umami flavor to vegetables, or bring a depth of richness to sauces and soups. Each mushroom variety contributes its own unique flavors. For example, Zamora prefers cooking with finely ground porcini mushrooms, saying, my favorite is to use mushroom powder to add in the pan just before deglazing. This intensifies the flavors and aromas and acts as a thickener to any sauce. The uses of dried mushrooms go beyond their seasoning and thickening properties. According to Jani, if you're looking for health benefits but don't like eating mushrooms, try a tea blend, or make your own by adding some dehydrated lion's mane or reishi mushrooms to your favorite tea blend. Just remember that some types of mushrooms usually need to actually simmer in water for a while, rather than simply steep like tea leaves. Either way, with so many ways to enjoy them, dried mushrooms are a versatile ingredient with a place in every kitchen. If you're following a plant-based diet or looking to eat less meat, mushrooms are the perfect alternative. Many restaurants already use mushrooms instead of meat in certain dishes. The portobello burger is probably the most common example. The key to cooking mushrooms that will satisfy any carnivore is to treat mushrooms like meat. Grilling, braising, deep frying, any cooking method you choose will bring out delicious flavors in mushrooms. Jani particularly recommends the king of meat-like mushrooms, lion's mane. When ripped by hand, this versatile mushroom offers a texture that's both moist and stringy, making it perfect for any recipe that calls for shredded chicken or pulled pork. Lion's mane, king oyster, and black pearl make excellent patties or steaks. Mushrooms can also replace seafood in some cases. For example, lion's mane lends itself well to vegan crab cakes, and the sliced and seared stems of king oysters can mimic scallops. If this is all sounding a little too intimidating, Jani has some words of advice. Remember, mushrooms don't always have to be the star of the show. Reap the benefits of mushrooms by adding a few handfuls of chopped mushrooms to just about any dish you are making. With their versatility and savory, umami-rich flavors, mushrooms are a delicious and satisfying addition to any meal.